Being an agency owner for several years, I've had the opportunity to work with many attorneys, and I've realized that a lot of attorneys, they don't know how to do any marketing for their own law firms. But it makes sense. Law school doesn't teach you how to get new clients. So the goal of this video is to teach you the differences between search engines and social media. That way, if you want to get more business, you're able to know where to put your money. That way you're not throwing money away on things that won't get you any results. Now, this is all based on experience working with different law firms, some of which get over 30 leads a month, some of which are doing over 120 leads per month. So now let's get started with the first of the four things. So to start off, we're going to have search engine advertising, right? Or pay-per-click advertising on search engines. When we refer to search engine advertising, we're referring to running ads on platforms like Google or Bing. So why is this an area where you want to run ads? If you are looking for an attorney, you're using Google search. If you're hungry and you're looking for somewhere to go eat, you're going onto Google search. If you have tooth pain and you don't have an existing dentist, you're going to Google search. Everyone uses Google search to find solutions to their problems. And advertising on search engines, including Google and Bing, is the best way to be able to show up in front of your competition, right? Before your competition. Now, law school didn't teach you that you have to set aside a budget for this, but the truth is you're going to have to set up a few $1,000s per month to be able to show up at the very top of Google search with advertising. Now, keep this in mind. Depending on the area of law that you're in and depending on the city, you will have different potential costs per lead. So the cost of getting someone to call you, that's going to vary depending on the area of law and the city. For example, here in Miami, we're running ads for an immigration attorney and we're paying around $40 per lead. But in Chicago, we're paying around $80 per lead. So every different city is going to have a different cost because everything's based on supply and demand. Now, that is search engine PPC, right? Search engine advertising. And that is where you're putting money to be able to pretty much tell Google to place you at the very top. If you don't do this, you're not going to show up at the top. You're not going to get any calls. And depending on the law firm, right, I suggest at the minimum that you spend between $3,000 to $4,000 to start per month on advertising. Now for number two, let's talk about SEO. And this is something that a lot of attorneys, they always tell me, Franco, we want to do SEO. And I tell them, look, to be honest, SEO, it's great to have, but you shouldn't really spend money on it right away, not within your first year or two. Now, SEO stands for search engine optimization, and it's the process by which you are creating content and optimizing your website and your Google business profile to get more organic traffic. That organic traffic can potentially turn into calls for your business. But here's the thing, you're going to have to put a few $1,000s for SEO as well, right? You might want to spend maybe $3,000 a month as well for SEO. But the biggest difference is that you should not expect any real results for a few months, right? And I'd say maybe 6 months to a year. And even then, you do not have a lot of influence as to, how many leads you might be able to get, because it's all going to be based on Google and Bing. If they decide that they want to push your content towards the top organically, then you will show up. If they decide that your content's not as good as another big nationwide law firm, then you're not going to be at the top. You're going to be at the bottom or maybe even on page 10. But it's interesting I just said this because I said SEO and it's organic and it's free, but I'm telling you, yeah, you're gonna have to put $3,000 towards this. Well, that's because someone's going to need to write the content. Someone's going to need to, optimize the whole website for different keywords and whatnot. The main thing I want you to get out of this is that whereas search engine advertising is somewhere where you actually pay money to show up at the very top and you can show up the same day, SEO is a long-term play. This is where you're creating content to put you in the best position so that Google and Bing reward you and put your website at the very top, and you don't have to pay any more for that. But of course, to be able to get in that position to even be considered by Google and Bing, you need a lot of content. And trust me, if you're a lawyer, you're probably out there handling cases. You're not writing these posts yourself. So you're going to have to hire someone to do it. But from my perspective, I've seen many law firms that spend several $1,000s per month and 6 months go by, they didn't even get one lead, right? So just keep that in mind. It's something that I would definitely say you could start doing after 2 years of running advertising and you have that have free money available. But if you don't and you need business this same month, you need to make sure that you're running ads on search engines. And for the third point, we're going to talk about social media paid advertising. So social media paid advertising, it's very similar to number one, right? With search engines. You're going to pay Facebook, you're going to pay Instagram, you're going to pay YouTube to push your brand out there. And you do want to do this. You want to definitely spend money advertising on these platforms, because guess what? I'm sure you use either Facebook, Instagram, or YouTube every single day. I know I'm on Instagram at least 1 hour a day. I know on YouTube at least 30 minutes to an hour a day. So you need to have a presence where the attention is. If they're not on Google search or Bing search, they're on Instagram, they're on YouTube, they're on Facebook. But you also need to understand that, look, even though you're going to be able to show up in front of these people and they're going to call you, a lot of the people who are on Instagram and Facebook, they're not necessarily looking for an attorney, because if they were, they'd be on Google. They are instead looking to see what their friends and family are sharing. They're looking for memes. They're looking for entertainment. So because of this, they don't have their credit card ready to make a purchase, but they might be interested in learning what you have to offer. Maybe they're interested in getting a consultation because they might need to hire you in a month or in 3 months. So it's still very important to run advertising on social media, including Facebook and Instagram, because you will get your name out there. And I think if you are able to focus on like a 5-mile radius of your office, and you're able to have the right creative, the right case studies to show that you get results for your clients, you can have people showing up to your business. But like I said, the intent is a little bit different. Someone from Facebook might not hire you today, someone from Google might. And that's social media paid advertising. And I highly recommend you do it after you get your search engine advertising going. But now for number 4, now we have social media organic content, right? And this is really content where you're not paying anything. It's kind of like SEO in that you can just create some content. You know, I have a camera here. I can easily record content with this camera or with my phone, and I'm able to share that on social media. But the problem with this is it's kind of similar to SEO in that you're pretty much waiting on Facebook and Instagram to potentially push your content out there to new people. But chances are, if you're an attorney, you don't have time to record yourself. You don't have time to edit all of these videos and images. Believe it or not, a lot of attorneys, they're not very good on camera. So think about this. If it's not an area where you're the expert, you're going to want to pay someone to do the content, right? And look, you could do that. You could even pay me to do your content. But here's the thing. I am not skilled to get that content to go viral organically, because that type of expectation is something that you shouldn't have. When you're just sharing content organically, you're pretty much just waiting for Facebook and Instagram and YouTube to push your content out there. This is something that, yeah, you could definitely implement and you could have going for your business, but chances are you're not going to get the numbers of leads that you would expect from search engine advertising or social media advertising. So while it's nice to share content on Instagram, on Facebook, I'm gonna tell you, look, don't do it right now. You know, you could have maybe a post that you share once a month, but don't spend too much effort on it. Now we've gone over 4 things, and now you have 4 different options to work with that law school didn't tell you that you should look into to start getting more leads for your business. The first one was search engine advertising. Second one was search engine optimization. The third one was social media advertising, and the fourth one was social media organic content. In my experience, the law firms that do number 1, search engine advertising, get the most amount of leads in the first month, and they're the first ones to start closing some retainers, just because these people who are looking on Google or Bing, they're ready to make a purchase decision. Second, I would say that you can actually go into and adopt social media advertising as well. And that's because you're pushing your brand out there by paying Facebook, paying Instagram to be able to push your brand to everyone within your area with your videos, etc. So those 2, I'd say you should definitely look into to be able to start generating leads right away. The other 2, SEO and social media organic content, look, you can implement them, and if you have someone in-house that can do some of the social media, some of the SEO, sure, have them spend a few hours per month. But I would tell you that you shouldn't spend that much time early on these 2, because that is time that will not be best spent, right? If you have someone creating content on social media and for your blog, that's time that really won't yield a lot of results, because you're waiting for Google, you're waiting for Bing, you're waiting for Instagram, you're waiting for Facebook to give you the opportunity, to grant you that opportunity to show up a little bit more in front of other people. But if you pay to play on Google, Bing, Facebook and Instagram, guess what? You're going to get your name out there the same day, the next day, and you're going to get people in the door. So now you know, always try to go the route of paid advertising because that's the best way to get your name out there. And most of all, get those people to call you so that you get those consultations. You're able to close those retainers. If you learned anything in this video, it's that look, law school didn't teach you how to run ads, and there's a reason for that, right? So that you're able to learn from me and my team here at Ren Marketing. So now if you don't want to watch these videos and do it yourself, and I totally understand, you're an attorney, you have cases to work on, then you can contact me and my team. We'll be able to talk about what we're able to do to help you get more business within your area. But I will say, we don't work with all types of law, right? We don't work with personal injury, for example, because that's just something we haven't had experience with. But if you're in immigration, you're in estate planning, you're in family or criminal, let's talk. There's a ton of opportunity to get you more consultations. And if you like this video, make sure to check out this other one where you're able to understand a little bit more about how to get more leads. So I hope that you like this video. Thank you very much for your time. Again, this is Franco Kino with Ren Marketing.